What's up, everybody? Zack Heydorn here, managing editor at SEScoops.com. Here today with a very, very, very special guest, Josh Shernoff from Wrestling Showcase and Premier Network. Man, Josh, you have been a busy guy these last couple weeks, and it's not going to slow down for you this weekend. That's for sure. Thank you for taking up some time today to chat.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. I think my screen like zoomed in. I'm doing this on my phone, and I just got a call from Jacob Fatu, who will be in attendance, unless his phone call said he's not. But he's on his way. He's heading to the airport, representing House of Glory. So really excited about that. It's been a busy few weeks. It's been kind of crazy. But we had StarCast last weekend, which was a huge success. A lot of fun there, and now we are, we're all systems go. We've got tomorrow, as we're recording this, tomorrow night is the Premier Streaming Network Wrestling Showcase. 14 matches, counting the 3 matches on the pre-show. Matt Cardona sent me a text that he's like, "Man, I'm not going on until 11:45." I said, "Dude, the show is going to be over at 10:45. He's like, "You want to make a bet?" I said, "I will make a bet because we are going to ring the bell if people don't stick to the times of their matches." So we're gonna, because we have a lot of promotions, and we want to make sure that we give everybody equal time. But yeah, no one's going into business for themselves, so it'll be fun.
It's a really cool event that you guys have going on. Second year of in its existence. Yes, last year was the first. Also coincided with All Out Weekend, which is pretty much where we're at here. Talk to me a little bit about what goes into booking a show like this, where you're juggling. It's a showcase in the truest sense. You're showcasing talent from all sorts of different promotions. I'd assume that there's a lot that goes into juggling not only schedules, but just, the politics of different companies all being on the same show. Obviously, there's a lot of mouths that you need to feed on that. Talk a little bit about what goes into booking something like this.
Yeah. So one of the things with the different promotions, something that we decided to do to make it a little bit easier was to not have inter-promotional matches. Because with that, then you're really complicating.
Yeah.
The idea is to literally showcase all of these promotions. And with each match representing, with the exception of the 2 title matches, we'll talk about that in a minute, but each match representing different promotions that are on the network, it really is meant to be kind of a giant commercial for our network. So if you're a huge House of Glory fan, but maybe you've never heard of WrestlePro, or you've never heard of Catalyst Wrestling or Immortal Championship Wrestling, this is an opportunity for those promotions to put their best foot forward, so that in hopes that, because especially Premier Plus subscribers, this is free to them, this event. Premier Plus subscribers, which, $9.99 a month, the Premier Plus subscribers also get these monthly shows, be it House of Glory, WrestlePro, any of the ones I named before. So the idea is pretty much to say to these people, you're already paying for these events. You already get them, but we understand that you might not want to take the time to sit down and learn all about them. So this is our opportunity in one foul swoop to say, hey, you're a Premier Plus subscriber. This is free to you. It's also available on pay-per-view for people who just want to give it a shot and don't want to sign up just yet. I feel like at the end of the night, you definitely will want to, but this is an opportunity to legitimately showcase all of the talent, all of the promotions. Each match will have a 30-second video package about each promotion. Again, it's just to kind of introduce you to some of these promotions that you might not be familiar with, because we have, like I said, 14 matches. We have way more than 14 promotions on the network, and we had to cut it off at some point. And I tried to cut it off at 11, and just, for specific deals and whatnot that we were putting together. here we are with 14 matches. So it's going to be a lot of wrestling. It's going to be timed well. I know I've seen some people like, oh, this is going to be like WrestleMania 36, or this is, it's not. It is going to be, last year we had a tournament, a one-night tournament for the Wrestling Showcase Championship. This is a second one that we had as a backup that Matt Cardona, he carries with him. There was a lot of talk of, oh man, well, you're doing that. You're also doing a Future Star Showcase match. We also had the women's triple threat with Chelsea Green, Taya Valkyrie, and Deonna Purrazzo. By the way, all of that is available as part of your Premier Plus subscription. But I think that this, last year our timing was perfect. We ended up actually running a little short. So I think that if everybody's excited and gets out there and sticks to their times and has a really good time, then this show, start to finish, is going to be really enjoyable for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the showcase part of it, I think, is the the funnest kind of element, in that you're going to watch one show and you're going to get a taste of all sorts of different, promotions that are part of the Premier Streaming Network. And yeah, like if you haven't heard of House of Glory, like, okay, you're going to get a chance to take a look at that and to kind of experience that style and what that promotion has to offer. How is it working with all the talent on a show like this? Like, you got talent coming from all sorts of different places. I mean, you being a figurehead of Premier Streaming Network, and you don't lack an experience of dealing with talent, but this is a big thing. This is a main showcase event. How do you make sure that the talent gives you what you need and you give them what they need on a night like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely challenges to it, right? But I think everybody is so excited, which is great to see. Everybody's so excited to be a part of it. I think they understand the importance of it to us as a network, but the importance to the individual promotions as well, and the importance to them. Some of these guys haven't had and girls haven't had the exposure that others have. You have House of Glory, you've got Jacob Fatu and Charles Mason, and you have your Steph DeLanders and your Matt Cardonas and Cole Cabanas. But then you also have your other talent that maybe people aren't familiar with, and this is an opportunity for them to really, show up and show out, right? Like, this is an opportunity for them to steal the show, and that's really what our goal is. So I think on that regard, they're all really excited to be a part of it. So that's been easy for us. On the other side of it, it's us managing to really time things out and say, okay, how can we give everything to everyone? And one of those things is making sure everybody has entrance videos. Some people provided some people were creating them for them, because we want everybody to be able to come to the ring kind of on equal footing. There's obviously, we have our main event match. Obviously there are some names that are bigger, but there's really, everybody is being presented as a potential main event, right? Because some of these are title matches from these other promotions. So every match on the card is kind of a main event. So I think the challenge has mostly just been with coordinating. It's one thing when you book a show and you say, okay, here are going to be the matches, and you talk to the talent. It's another thing when you're talking to 11 different promotions, and you're trying to get information from all of them, and then something changes in this match and something changes in that one. And, so there are injuries that take people out, and then they want to put somebody else in. And so you look at it in the 11th hour, and we just re-edited the opening because we just got the matches. We have posters that will be for sale. Those posters are actively being printed right now, because we didn't have the final matches until yesterday. So there was a lot of, when are you guys going to post the final matches? Well, I would have loved to have 2 months ago, but that's not how it works. So, we're really excited for it though, because I think that what people are going to see, whether they're there in attendance or they're watching on Premiere, I think what people are going to see is the best of everybody. Everyone that is there, every promotion that's there, you're going to see the very best. And, that's the beauty of this. There's no filler match. There's no popcorn match. And I know some people might say, well, then, people are going to get tired. Well, listen, you can get up and go get popcorn whenever you want.
You're not strapping them to their seats, Josh. You're
right. You can get up whenever you want, but at the same time, you are going to miss something, which good news, they can then go back on Premiere Plus and they can watch the showcase immediately after.
Yeah. Okay, so two new title matches. You've got the Premier Streaming Championship on the line. I believe that's what you're calling it, correct?
The Premier Streaming Network World Championship.
Okay, so there's a men's world championship and a women's world championship. Yeah. Both will be decided on this card. Matt Cardona versus Colt Cabana for the men's world championship. There it is. She's a beauty. She is a beauty.
We debuted this at StarCast last week. Yes, this is Matt Cardona or Colt Cabana. You can actually see with that showcase felt behind, some of the shaping and whatnot is there's some throwbacks to that. It's kind of this is the spiritual successor to that championship.
Well, it's very sharp and it's a big match. I mean, I think Cardona and Cabana, talk about them, just from a sheer wrestling perspective. I mean, both have been around the game for a long time. Cardona, obviously everybody knows his run in the WWE, but he's had this kind of epic I don't even want to call it a resurgence because it's been just like a new take on how to work the independent scene. And then on the other side of the ring, it's Colt Cabana, who is, independent wrestling legend in so many ways and ahead of the curve, in terms of the business of independent wrestling in so many ways. And they're going to collide head on. I mean, what's your expectations for that from just a wrestling perspective?
I think people are going to be, I don't want to say surprised because that sounds like you wouldn't expect a great match from Matt Cardona or Colt Cabana. And if that's your feeling, then you've obviously never seen them wrestle before. But I think they're going to be surprised in just the intensity of it. I think they're going to be, Colt is fun and games a lot of the time, but, talking to him last week, there's an aspect of him that's kind of has I don't want to say he has a chip on his shoulder, but maybe he does. This is a main event match and there's a little jokes. He even made some jokes about, he's not even on TV and he just, does opening matches and, dark matches. This is an opportunity for him to say, when it comes to the independents, he is the king of the independent scene. He is responsible for why wrestlers can make a living without being in AEW or WWE. He is responsible for why podcasts like the Major Wrestling Figure podcast exist. Why, we're at StarCast. Everybody calls Conrad the Podfather, but an argument is to be made, and Conrad will be the first to make it, that Colt Cabana is the Podfather, that Colt Cabana really launched this. So when you look at that, you have a guy who runs around calling himself the Indie God, who, by the way, is my best friend in the entire world, and he is an indie god and a deathmatch king, and all hail Matt Cardona. But looking at it from the other side, Colt Cabana is looking at this saying, "Hey, man, it's great that you're doing all this, that you're doing your run on the indies, but I kind of invented that, and if you really want to be the king of the indies, the indie god, you got to go through Colt Cabana." And that's something that's pretty exciting for us looking at it, that, we have a match here that we really do have the absolute hottest indie star today, Matt Cardona, against arguably the biggest independent star of all time, Colt Cabana. So, and that's what we do with Premier Streaming Network. We pride ourselves on championing these independent content creators or independent promotions, independent wrestling. And so for us to be able to have the very best from independent wrestling from two different eras, really, which is hard to believe that Colt Cabana could be considered from a previous era. Right? But to have that is really exciting. That is exactly what Premier is and what we want, the Premier Championship to represent. We want, when they walk around, whoever it might be, when they walk around other promotions, and they carry this championship with them to other promotions, even possibly on other networks. But when they can only defend it on a premiere show, but when they are carrying this with them, we want this to be a point of pride for them to say, I represent Premier Streaming Network. Premier Streaming Network is has the largest curated library of professional wrestling, of independent professional wrestling. So in essence, we're kind of like like a museum, like a curated museum of independent pro wrestling. So it's a way, you're the champion of the history of independent wrestling and professional wrestling. That's how we want our wrestlers to feel about it. And I think over time, you have to earn it with the fans, but I think over time, the fans will also view this championship as someone that represents independent wrestling as a whole.
And also I would, I think the match itself, when I look at it, I'm like, okay, on the surface, you could say, oh, this is going to be like a funny match. You got Cabana in there. Cardona can do some comedy stuff, but both these guys are in a totally different place right now. I expect this to be hard hitting and worthy of the new championship. Will the winner of this defend the title like around the different independent promotions that are on the network? Like, will they go to House of Glory? Will they go to Catalyst and bounce around?
Yes, that's the idea here. Is we're creating kind of the territory system for the 21st century and the digital age. That's kind of what we've talked about internally. And what we want is, again, it's a way, just like the showcase, to take maybe some of these lesser known promotions and boost them up. Now, all of a sudden, Colt Cabana or Matt Cardona or Steph DeLander or Rachel Ellering are going to show up at your show and defend this championship against maybe the big star from your promotion. So they could be a smaller promotion, but it's a way for fans to kind of, even if they choose just to follow the championship, they'll be able to kind of follow along. And we'll have a section on our site, on Premier Streaming Network, that will be dedicated to each championship, so that you will be able to follow the history of it as whenever a match airs with that championship being defended, that match will be added to this playlist of each championship. So you will always be able to kind of follow, starting with the matches that are happening tomorrow night. So yeah, it's going to go, they're going to go everywhere. And we have Middle Kingdom Wrestling in China being represented tomorrow night. Yeah. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for Middle Kingdom Wrestling to book a premier champion to show up in China and defend the championship. And that championship could end up being, being won by somebody in China. And then are we bringing them over? Is someone else coming back to try
game changer? Yeah.
Bring it back to the US or maybe bring it to, we have promotions in the UK. So there's a lot we can do with it. I'm excited to see where this championship's going to go. They can't be defended on a show that is not airing on Premiere, but
makes sense.
They're more than welcome to show up on promotions that are not airing on Premiere to, say to them, hey, I'm the Premier champion. I'm happy to be wrestling the show on some other network, but I represent this network.
All right, let's talk about the women's match. We got Steph DeLander versus Rachel Ellering for the Premier Women's World Championship. I think this is a really cool match to have on the show. Steph DeLander obviously makes waves on the independents, every single weekend. Rachel Ellering, obviously, she's got the family lineage to professional wrestling and just is a great worker top to bottom. This is going to be a good one, and I think either one of these women will be a strong representative of Premier Streaming Network in the way that you want them to.
And they'll be representing with this championship.
There we go.
So it's with nice little blue on the back here. Yes, they will be representing with their own championship. And I will say, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is a difference. These are women at the bottom. Can you see that?
Yes. Yep.
Those are women at the bottom. And the... not that I really need to show it because I think you see where we're going here, but those are men at the bottom. It's the only
Intricate.
we didn't want one that was going to say men's or women's, because we want them to be they're equally premier world champions. They just are, representing different genders. But that's a nice little Easter egg in there that just kind of, shows the difference. But yeah, this match was a fun one to put together. I think Rachel Ellering, I don't think she's had the exposure that maybe she should have had. She spent some time in NXT, as did Steph DeLander. They've never crossed paths in the ring before. But Rachel grew up in the business, and that to me was important. I talked about representing the history of wrestling. So to me, it was kind of this way of saying, here's Steph DeLander, who's on the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated now, a magazine where Rachel Ellering's father has graced the cover before, along with, with the Road Warriors. So it's an opportunity to say, here's this person who's making these huge waves on the indie scene. And here's this person who maybe is just waiting for her opportunity, waiting for that break. And I think to have someone like Rachel Ellering carrying this championship around really puts, having that last name attached to it, that really elevates the championship. And then in hopes the championship elevates Rachel to allow her to get around. Now, Steph, on the other side, SDL, having a championship on her also elevates it in people's eyes, in the spotlight. One thing that's interesting that someone pointed out to me was, how would Matt Cardona feel if Steph DeLander wins the women's championship and Matt Cardona does not win the men's championship? And it hit me, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna be pissed. He's the belt collector here, and if she's carrying around this championship, so I almost feel like, and the women's match goes on first, so I almost feel like it's like, if Steph manages to win, that's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised you have Cardona sitting there in the back, that's what gets him that extra, okay, before
I need this too.
Yeah, before I wanted to win this, but now I need to win this. But I mean, look, Steph DeLander she hasn't had the, I don't want to say she hasn't had the experience, but you think back to Ric Flair's last match and Rachel Ellering being a part of that, the spotlight that she's been under, and and she got injured in the match, and that was in the back of our mind of this kind of this redemption for her, because she got injured and wasn't able to finish that match. And I remember seeing that disappointment. I was backstage. I remember her coming back, being helped to the back. And I remember that disappointment. And now this is an opportunity for her on another large scale to be able to reestablish a name for herself. Cause that was in a lot of ways a coming out, a re-coming out party for her. So this is another opportunity. I know Steph, it's kind of, if you ask her, it's a foregone conclusion. She's winning this championship, starting her own. She just did an interview the other day, starting her own belt collection. But Rachel Ellering, I mean, this is a force to be reckoned with. She's she's a tough woman and a great athlete, and again has that lineage behind her. So I'm excited for this match.
Yeah, I'm excited for this match too. I think it's gonna be really good, and the whole card, as you said, is well represented. Different styles of independent promotions. You will get a really good fix of pro wrestling. Tomorrow night, pre-shows at 7 p.m. Show begins at 8 p.m. Last question, Josh. You have had such a run here with the network, and obviously you're a key face of that. On camera, behind the scenes. What give wrestling fans who are going to watch this video a sense of your vision for this, not just the showcase, but for the network as well as a whole for the next year, 5 years. I mean, where if they get in at the ground floor here, so to speak, where do you expect things to be for them in the next few years?
Yeah, I would say we've been around for 8 months, about 8.5 months. And from launch to now, we've We've had Impact Wrestling events. We've had Squared Circle Expo. We've had StarCast. We are now doing this showcase where we're unveiling these championships. Freddie Prinze Jr. came on as an owner. Obviously, he has a lot of ideas of what he wants to do in wrestling, in the wrestling space. And we're, looking into all of those. I would say, look at what we've done the last 8 months, how we've grown. And that should give you an idea of the next 8 months and the next 8 months after that. I think for us, what we want in the wrestling space specifically is we want to emphatically be considered the very best professional wrestling streaming service in the world. Are we going to have WWE pay-per-views? Probably not. I guess never say never, right? But probably not. They have, Peacock and their own network and all of that stuff. AEW, stay tuned for that. But obviously we had StarCast and we had Tony Khan on stage holding a premier microphone. We had a great opportunity to talk with AEW. But long term, let's face it, AEW, they have dreams of probably their own network. So for us, the focus is everywhere else, and everywhere else is where these stars are coming from. We have these collections, MJF collection, John Moxley collection, Adam Cole collection, all these guys that you'll see in AEW right now. We have Kevin Steen, El Generico. So you see these people who are in WWE. Oh, no one knows what happened to El Generico, but
who knows what happened to that guy?
Who knows what happened to him? But you see these stars of today, all these collections from before. I look at it, and 5 years from now, I want people to look back on a show like the Showcase, or like a random Catalyst Wrestling show, or a random Battlefield Pro Wrestling show. And I want people to go, oh my God, I remember watching the Showcase. I didn't even remember that this massive star on national television now, I watched him live there. So that's kind of what our goal is, to continue to be the very best curated professional wrestling streaming service in the world. And I think in 8 months, you can absolutely argue that we are already the best curated streaming service in professional wrestling, seeing as nobody else does what we do. Nobody else puts these collections together. They don't have the technology, and they don't have the know-how. They don't have the understanding of the industry. And that's something we pride ourselves on. The people who run this company love professional wrestling, have been in the ring, have been behind the scenes. They understand this business. And that's something very important, because I think if you see things like Peacock, for instance, and you have people who don't quite understand it, there's something missing. And so for us, that was really important. And I think the future's bright for us. We have no plans on slowing down. We are growing way quicker than we expected, but we're very proud of that. And I think, moving forward, we want to be the answer. I guess the short answer to your question, after my long answer to your question, the short answer is we want to be the one-stop shop if you're a professional wrestling fan. If you want to watch wrestling content, you think of Premiere, and that's it.
Yeah. Great answer. Tomorrow night is the Wrestling Showcase. 7 p.m. is the pre-show. 8 p.m. is the live main show. Matt Cardona versus Colt Cabana for the Premier Streaming Network's World Championship on the men's side. And then we've got Steph DeLander and Rachel Ellering for the women's world title of the same name. Josh, thank you so much for your time. Good luck tomorrow. We'll all be watching. It's going to be a fun event. And thank you for taking some time out of your day to do this.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it.